love recording videos. It's my favorite job. It sounded so sarcastic, I don't know why. Well, good evening, laddies, lasses, and lassos. Welcome to the click. You smell absolutely astounding today. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Isn't that right, side-facing camera? Oh yes indeed, you look absolutely glorious even from that angle. So anyway, everyone, today we're gonna do something absolutely beautiful. We're gonna look at r/FacePalm, which is a beautiful subreddit. And speaking of facepalm moments, do you know what the biggest facepalm moment of all time would be? Missing out on the emotional support team and Glow in the Dark edition. It is coming out on the 23rd of November, so don't miss out and regret it for the rest of your days. Oh yes, indeed, I desperately need to sell more plushies so I can use it to buy more plushies. Do not send help. I will not accept it. So we're gonna read some beautiful facepalm, and I do hope that you enjoy it because you deserve to enjoy yourself. Enjoy. You better enjoy yourself. Korea is so mean because we have a normal-looking character and a blown-up character, and it's pointing towards the escalator. No way, Korea, come on, man. That is so mean. I do like that everyone is still just taking the escalator. Is this some kind of like government plan to try to like get people in shape or some health scheme or something? If we just like try to body shape people for taking the escalator, we can... A gym I used to go to used to have a sign that said something like, "Did you come all the way to the gym to skip the stairs?" Lol. Is it leg day? Then the answer is yes. Oh my god, I had that happen recently. I had a pretty intense leg day because never skip leg day. #gains. And then I was walking down a flight of stairs and it started cramping really bad. No, stairs are awful. Stairs and leg day is like a satanic combination that only masochists enjoy. Marriage isn't a piece of cake. Woman asks for divorce just one day after wedding over cake prank. Wait, so did the cake prank happen during the wedding? Or like after the wedding? Because it kind of looks like wedding photo vibes. And then you just cake your wife? That's not a way to start up a relationship, man. Come on. Ooh, our beautiful wedding fish splash. I can see, I can see how that would be upsetting. Which website would you like to see? I don't want you to know. What about telling Mr. Incognito? Okay. Yeah, they really do be saving a bunch of data, right? Keep that in mind. Incognito is basically just not saving your history locally for like anyone else that uses the computer to see what you've been searching. Or for example, if you're a streamer, so you don't show stuff in a browser. Damn, the amount of like wild search history you get when you, for example, search for thumbnail materials for certain subreddits that I have never visited. So anyway, next meme, please. That is probably the weakest argument I have heard defending a healthcare system that kills 50k people a year. 50k people a year? Show me well-researched statistics. Here's the link. Oh, that's only 45,000. Your point is invalid. But that's like the same number, though. Is that really like, haha, gotcha. You rounded it upwards slightly. When I see stuff like this, then you realize that these people aren't here to argue, to try to make anything better, or to highlight actual issues in the world. They're only on Twitter to try to be right by any means necessary. And now they've gotten down to arguing specifics about rounding a certain number instead of like arguing the actual problem of the system they were talking about in the first place. Andrew Tate, food's awful and eating sucks. What? I eat the bare minimum and as fast as possible. I hate eating, I hate feeling full. Men who think cooking makes them manly are cucks afraid of the cage, desperate for validated non-existent masculinity. Imagine how stupid you have to be to find food entertaining. Literally embarrassing. So, the ultimate manhood, I guess it's have a woman cook for you, I guess. But if you haven't landed a female yet, I guess the ultimate man thing is just to gouge down raw food, just like, I don't know, a dry bag of rice and just chug it, I guess. Is that the true sign of manhood? Although, to be fair, it would be really nice to have the option. Like, imagine in the future if you could just plug in a power battery to yourself and you wouldn't have to eat. So you could, for example, skip lunch and do something else with your time, and then you have dinner with your family just because it's social and nice and tasty, but you don't have to eat just whatever to fill up. That I can kind of agree on. It's not always entertaining just to like be in a rush and try to fill up on something because low blood sugar, but like tying it into some kind of masculinity argument is just insane.
I am a single mother. Want to give me a hand with the groceries? As I haul multiple shopping bags from my boot, while my toddler skitters between parked cars, my neighbor nods hello from his back porch while ashing his cigarette. Each week, despite knowing that I am a solo mother by choice, with a donor-conceived son and no partner at home, my neighbor watches me teeter inside a leaning tower of motherhood with hefty bags and yelling child attached to my shins. I smile brightly and say hello, but in my mind is a static of expletives. Why doesn't he offer to frickin' help?
Dude is just chilling on his porch, minding his own business, while this lady's out here writing internet articles about what a horrible piece of shit he is. Can you imagine just like, hi there, neighbor. Oh my god, this f***ing neighbor I have. Jesus Christ. I mean, I do like both these posts back to back, right? Because it very much shows the inclusivity of this channel, right? Being a popo is not gender specific. It's like that post I read from Tumblr the other day where there's something like, oh, pranks that are abusive to their partner. And someone is like, actually, a lot of people on TikTok are gay. And it's like, oh, inclusivity win. This piece of poo is gay. God damn it. Ah.
My frustration with young people is they think success is supposed to happen like that.
Oprah. She's full of poo. Young people don't expect for things to happen like that. They expect to at least be able to afford a job after graduating and being $80,000 in debt, not having to move back in with their parents, not having insurance, not having any foreseeable chance of retiring. Remember when Oprah promoted the book The Secret? Wasn't that a book all about how easily you can achieve success if you just visualize it? That sounds like such a bag of baloney. I think all this kind of stuff falls in the same category. Visualize everything, or toxins, or manifestations. Don't get me wrong, mindset and that kind of stuff can definitely help, but it's always made up to be this huge power of spiritual embodiment that it isn't really. And one thing to recognize when it comes to money, monetary gain, business building, all that kind of stuff, is that it is kind of a snowball effect. It doesn't mean that everyone is going to be good at it, in all honesty, but it does mean that once you have some money, it's easier to make more than if you start at zero. That's just kind of how the economy works. If you have a bit of capital already, it's much easier to take that risk and get it started, instead of, for example, getting approved for a loan the very first thing you do. So there are many aspects to the economy that this just doesn't do. Like, if you want to give economic tips as a literal billionaire, I don't think this is it. Visualize. Then, of course, visualizing things can be very helpful, like having a tangible plan and that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm starting this thing. What's the goal in 5 years? What are the steps to get to that point? Of course, having a plan and being tangible about it is good, but this just sounds like poo. And then also being like, young people and their avocado toast and they can't afford houses. Maybe we can't afford it because it's like 5 times as expensive, Karen. God. Daily active users on mobile apps globally changed from October 2022. Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and X, formerly Twitter. Musky Husky. But, I guess you can say, this is my ex social media. Get it? Because you moved on from,
People who leave their phones set to military time are freaking war criminals. How do you look at 1605 and go, wow, I can't understand that? Freaking bootlickers. What's next? You gonna join the army? Recruit me?
Americans be like, okay, I can't count past 12 actually. I'm gonna be honest, military time, or what we call outside of America, just normal time, is so much easier than having to deal with AM, PM stuff. Have you not seen the amount of quizzes when people are like, what is the closest to midnight? 12:02 PM or 12:02 AM or 11:55 PM or 11:55. It's confusing as poo. People can't even get the quizzes right. Why do you think we use this time schedule? Frickin' freedom units, man. Ha me during my French exam, wondering what the gender of a washing machine.
Kids' school struggles are real in woke world.
Oh, because it contains gender? You think this is like a woke agenda? Oh god, that's so stupid. For example, in German you have die, das, der, which is feminine, neutral, and masculine. And in French you have le and la, which is masculine and feminine. It doesn't really have anything to do with woke stuff or whatever you made this up. This is just the gender part of language, which is also like a bit overly complicated. Like learning German grammar was a nightmare and I don't like it. But it's not for these reasons. I hate cis people. Experiment. Visibility limited. This post may violate X's rules against hateful conduct. I hate trans people. Experiment. No visibility limited. Very interesting. I mean, to be fair, spouting on social media that you hate like any group of people is pretty cringe, but this is very silly. Like, where are we going? And they don't even get the definition right. Wasn't it Elon Musk that tweeted out recently that, cis is a slur against straight people? And he's like, fam, if you're gonna argue this, at least get the definition of the word right. Like, there are plenty of gay people that are also cis. I mean, at least get the definition right before spouting nonsense, God.
I am at the ER with my daughter. She had an asthma attack. Triage told my daughter that since she's older than 11, if she needed to tell them anything that she didn't want me to hear, they will ask me to step outside. What kind of Jesus take the wheel kind of foolishness is this? I told her, those rules don't apply to us. We aren't liberals. She didn't say another word.
What? I was surprised when I was about to undergo anesthesia as a young adult. The anesthesiologist asked me with my folks in the room, do you use any street drugs? I think the chances of people saying they do in front of their parents is somewhat low. That can't be best practice. When I was 16, they asked me the question regarding drugs and pregnancy, first in front of my dad and later without him in the room. Gave him a feeling of knowing and me the confidence to be taken seriously. Happened in the 90s, and I will never forget the smile on the nurse's face when she told me about the strategy. That is really good because you don't share everything with your parents necessarily, and maybe you believe different things or something. Your parents could be very against something that you yourself don't see as a big deal, for example, and it's much better to just ask you in private to make sure you get the honest answer instead of having to choose between like, okay, this is dangerous, but maybe for two reasons, maybe because they don't approve of it versus the physical danger versus, it's just, yeah, it doesn't seem like a very best practice. It should be normalized to ask people things in private. And not only that, this could also tie into, for example, abusive households. Of course, not accusing anyone of doing it, but the line of logic that because of political affiliation, my child should never be asked anything. It's like, man, that's giving off some red flags, isn't it? Damn. Yahoo News. While American YouTuber MrBeast's goal was to provide clean drinking water for 500,000 people, activists say his actions shame the Kenyan government and help perpetuate the stereotype that Africa is dependent on handouts. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. The two people deriding MrBeast are 1, a Kenyan politician, of course, and 2, a woman who founded a 501c3 based in Cambridge, Massachusetts that raised $131,000 in 2020 and spent $83,000 on themselves. Oh, so like a fake charity driver and a politician from the region. Yeah, you know, I think I'm gonna listen to the kids before the politician. Of course the politician wouldn't like it. It's someone bypassing them. Like, you can criticize various forms of philanthropy in general, don't get me wrong, but this doesn't seem like particularly valid sources, I'm just gonna be honest. There is something to be said about getting a 41-game suspension for gambling, while being forced to wear a gambling ad on your own helmet every night. Oh yeah, look at that, Bet99, great. Wait a second, so the player gets banned for gambling? I'm not sure why that would be anyone else's business unless they're promoting it in some shady way. For example, when they have stocks in the gambling company and then promote the gambling without being transparent. Like, stuff like that always gets very shady. But unless it's something like that, what they choose to do in their own personal time, especially with the hypocrisy that is this. Come on, man, that's ridiculous. Personally, I have kind of mixed feelings about gambling. Like, sure, you can gamble yourself responsibly and just have fun with it or whatever with money you can afford to lose, kind of, because in reality, most of the time you aren't going to win. That's just statistics, otherwise the companies wouldn't actually exist. But there is something shady oftentimes when you see it online. For example, when you have creators or celebrities or something that sometimes promote gambling and they're not transparent with the fact that they might have shares in the gambling thing, or sometimes the gambling companies feed them money so it's not actually real money they're gambling with, and so on and so forth. I think it's trying to put people down a rabbit hole, and I don't really like that. I mean, the amount of sponsored offers you get from gambling companies as a creator is absolutely nuts. It's like every single day I wake up to some email from some gambling company or app wanting to sponsor videos. Nah, fam. Fox News. Alarming new trend is emerging as younger Americans eschew alcohol on dates. Go more for cannabis. What is so alarming about? I don't think, is this a new trend really? I don't know, man. Do anything in moderation. I wouldn't, like, overly promote one thing or another, but this seems just like made-up outrage. Come on. Clueless couples struggle to get preggo for 4 years. Are told by doctor the wife is still a virgin because they have been having, stuff from behind. is this actually real? They were going at this for 4 years and never thought to, like, I don't know, just Google it. Like, hey, we're having trouble conceiving. And it's like, we do it this way and this. Oh, you could have, like, just casually talked to a friend and you would have cracked this mystery. Or, like, one basic Google. 4 years. 4 years. Or maybe, maybe the twist is that, someone in the relationship actually knew, but they just preferred to go at it this way. That is also perfectly possible. It's just so wild.
We don't claim you as a real Jew.
My last name is Bernstein. My great-grandparents emigrated from Poland to Brooklyn. I don't need to be claimed by a stranger on Instagram.
Poland is like 90% Catholics, but I understand your point.
I wonder why the Jewish population in Poland is so low. Oh, if only there was a very well-established little historical event that could explain this. Oh, but I guess it's really hard to find out.
Hello, Twitter peeps! My friend Elizabeth is looking for an unvaxxed sperm donor. Her requirements are blue-eyed, white, 5'11" or taller, STD-free, no Jewish or African ancestry, follows a healthy meat-focused diet, must be natural insemination.
She will not do IVF. DM me. So you're just asking Twitter to raw dog your, like, Nazi anti-vaxxer friend? Man, of all the wild tweets I've read, man, this kind of stuff takes the cake. This is amazingly bad. This guy found a tattoo on his newly adopted dog and decided to get the same tattoo, only to discover afterwards that it means been neutered. Oh yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's like a male gender symbol with like a little dash over it. So yeah, I can see how that would mean that quite clearly. Maybe you should have, I don't know, Googled it before putting tattoos on. It's fascinating the amount of stuff people will tattoo on their bodies without, for example, Googling it or spell check it, or when you just tattoo like the name of a partner. It's like, oh my god, it's gonna last forever and I'm 19 and then break up 2 months later. It's like, yeah, great. Good stuff.
I slapped my wife, and she had the guts to arrest me with police because of one correctional slap.
Arrest me with police. That's like a very odd specification.
I was so surprised when the police stormed my office to arrest me. We have lost wife materials. It's funny how this woke generation can't endure like our mothers.
How do you blame that on what? I mean, yeah, maybe it is wokeness, I don't know, but it seems like a pretty good thing. It's like, oh my god, now we've come so far that we won't just allow wife beating anymore. Oh, what has the world come to? This is the same kind of people that are like, kids are no longer dying in the coal mines. It was so much better back then, but what?
She had me arrested and had the nerve to remain in my house. It's the audacity for me. My father slapped my mom and she never had him arrested.
Oh, so you're like from a whole like line of just family abusers. That's great.
Instead, she apologized like the good wife she is.
Oh yeah, like a bit of trauma response. That's fun. When you're trying to desperately make peace with your abuser to just not escalate the situation because they're larger and physically stronger. And if I'm guessing from a generation where they also had a lot of control financially over the relationship, I can see why that would be a response. That's not a good thing.
Then cooked and to wash his clothes. But now it's pathetic that we can't correct them.
Yeah, it sounds like you were corrected, and I think you need to be corrected. You're absolutely effing unhinged. I really hope the wife gets a divorce and these tweets are kind of shown. Because this doesn't even show remorse. There's nothing to do with that. They're actually angry that they got corrected for literally physically abusing someone and then going on this tangent about how, it was so much better before we could just beat people in our families that didn't agree with us. That is absolutely insane. One thing I find so fascinating about writing things like this publicly is that you would have to know, even if you're just a raging abuser, right? On just a factual level, you have to know that this would just make you look worse, right? Like, it's both abusive and really stupid, which, okay, maybe that's actually pretty much a causation, I don't know, but damn, fam.
It's fun that some folk think a secret group of rich people control everything instead of the wildly known group of rich people that control everything.
Yeah, why make up conspiracies? It's right there, fam.
Woo! My third grader came home with this today from school, excited to show me how he'd written his name in Chinese. I had to gently explain to him that this is, extremely not correct.
Chinese alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is not the Chinese alphabet. So here is a rough translation. Moon, month, bureaucrat, government title, unit for horse. Unit for horse, knife, blade. 3, down below under, giant, huge, rising, liter, unit, work, labor. So this is just like completely random. They've just collected a bunch of random words in Chinese from, I don't even know where they would get these random words, like Google or something, and then just attach random letters to it. I guess they were trying to make it quirky, you know, like, oh, let's learn an alphabet, and just took any symbol and replaced it with A and something so the kids had something to do and puzzled together. But it's also odd because it suggests that this is like the actual language, which it isn't. Fans think something is missing after Dwayne Johnson's waxwork was unveiled. They can't quite put their finger on it. Well, first off, this gives me some Uncanny Valley vibes, but second, isn't he like a bit, I don't know, like pale? You know? This is standard vaccine composition. Which of these chemicals do you object to having in your body? Ethanol, propyl, octane, methanol, butylactate, metharoproperol, metherbutyl, butylproperate, but they all sound really scary. Look at this. And methoxyl 4-2-propthyl-benzene. Yeah.
Ah, all of them!
Really? Because I have just given you the chemical composition of an apple, which is living testimony to the fact that anti-vaxxers aren't qualified to know what they are scared of. I think it's just kind of a funny gotcha, because people always shout chemicals, but don't actually know what they're scared about. You have so many of examples with this, with basic like salt, for example. If you separate certain compounds, they are super dangerous, unstable, or toxic in of themselves, but if you combine them, they just become something completely harmless. Chemistry is funky that way. So just because a long list like this sounds like, ooh, scary, it was the same thing with a couple of years ago with magnesium in vaccine. That was something that was a huge outrage and scare and that kind of thing. And then it turns out like just a standard can of tuna that you buy in the store has more magnesium in it than like any vaccine does. So it just becomes kind of ridiculous, where everything is just taken out of context, but no one that hypes around it actually understands anything about it.
You won't find moms who regret having their babies. You will absolutely find moms who regret aborting them.
That's just a damn lie, isn't it? You will find moms who drown their children. You will find moms who toss their kids in dumpsters. You will find moms who abuse their kids and blame them for their problems. You will find moms who anguish over not having enough money to get both food and medicine for their children. You'll see a lot of things if you look. I mean, for God's sake, you don't even have to look that hard. This seems to be like all over the place, especially nowadays when it can be very hard to provide for a family. The amount of times I see stories regarding people that are unable to provide for something, they're anxious about the future or anxious for their kids' sake, is astounding. This is just like made up. This is just straight up a lie. A gravestone commissioned by a widow to express her maternal and unbound love for her deceased husband.
What if I made my husband's grave about me?
Did you put yourself like a statue on your husband's grave? I mean, I understand the sentiment, but I would imagine the grave would be dedicated to the person there? I mean, all monuments are really about the living, not the dead. I design headstones professionally, and I think the shape, size, and inscription say more about the purchaser than the deceased. The dead don't care. Either there's nothing, and they are no more. There's a heaven, and they're happy remembering them, or there's a hell, and Marble Widow is the least of their worries. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. The same thing goes with ceremonies around it, that kind of stuff too. It's really for the living, and feeling that their memories live on, and everything that means to us. If someone passes on, following just like that line of logic that your consciousness ceases to exist, they literally won't care. Maybe they care while they're still alive, that stuff gets carried on a certain way or something, but I mean, at least I like to think that way, that when it's time, it's more about that the people who are left are the ones that are supposed to find comfort in each other and come together and that kind of stuff and find closure. You know, if you follow the line of logic, if there is nothing afterwards, then I'm not gonna care. You know, it's about the people that are still there. Lavinia, 26, attacked lover Thomas after drinking at her university accommodation at Christ Church College. Oxford student dubbed too bright for jail after stabbing lover quits degree early. Okay. Lavinia drunkenly attacked lover Thomas with a bread knife at her Oxford University student accommodation.
That is the most adorable description of domestic violence I have ever read. Yeah, you know, she's just running around casually stabbing people and stabbing her loved ones when she's had a bit of alcohol. But I mean, wouldn't it be a shame to just like ruin her academic career, you know, because she's so smart?
Not smart enough to know that you probably shouldn't stab people, and if you get really stabby when you drink, you should be smart enough to realize that then you probably shouldn't drink. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this? There's that same kind of logic whenever you see some teacher that's done something shady with a kid, and as soon as the roles are a certain way, it's like, oh, they were partaking in certain activities. Like, no. Say what it is.
What the frick?
Get married, make babies. Ladies, hear me out. OnlyFans, but it's just one fan, and you bear his children, and he takes care of you for life. A miracle. God, there's such a bad meme, man. One thing regarding content creation in general, and when it comes to adult topics too, is that I can see why it is incredibly appealing. I don't think the two are comparable. One is a job that makes you money, and the other is whatever you choose to do with your personal and private life. These are not particularly comparable. It's a very odd thing to compare. Like, for example, I think a lot of people are tempted to dabble in content creation, whatever kind it might be, because you see how successful it is possible to be. I think we've all seen, the leaks, or the reveals rather, because people usually do it themselves, of people that work with, for example, OnlyFans. And you're like, wow, this person made $5 million the first month they were on OnlyFans. And of course, the people that do this are usually already public figures and are well known, and that's why it explodes in popularity. But of course, it's tempting to try your luck. The advice I have as a content creator is that whatever you put out on the internet usually doesn't get forgotten, so it's good to be sure that you're comfortable with something before you do it, because it's really hard to take it back. And then, of course, with content creation in general, it can be quite scary to be in charge of your own business, because you're always on the frontier, and not only when it comes to being creative and putting things out there, being consistent, knowing what you want to do, it can be completely random stuff. Like one day you can wake up with the severe copyright problems, or you can wake up and a platform like YouTube or Twitter or whatever it might be has decided that something is against guidelines and you're risking losing your entire livelihood. It is kind of a scary market in a way, and the stress that comes with it I don't think is for everyone. And with that said, if you're interested, it's definitely worth trying, and I think with time you realize if you want to do something as a hobby or as a job, because it's a distinct difference. But anyway, with this particular post going a bit of a tangent, yeah, this is garbage. It's not even a legit comparison. What are you doing? Billie Eilish says men don't face criticism about their bodies because girls are nice. Well, that's BS.
Nobody ever says a thing about men's bodies. If you're muscular, cool. If you're not, cool. If you're rail thin, cool. If you have a dad bod, cool. If you're pudgy, love it. Everyone's happy with it. You know why? Because girls are nice. They don't give a frick because we see people for who they are. Why is every pretty girl with a horrible looking man? I'm not shaming people for their looks, but I am.
Billie Eilish.
You give an ugly guy a chance, he thinks he rules the world.
Billie Eilish. Oh man, the hypocrisy. It's a little bit on the nose, isn't it? But to get into that discussion a bit more, I have never liked this kind of stuff because it cancels out one people's issues for another when both aren't mutually exclusive. It's weird. You can have different problems and body standards and shaming for men and women, and they don't cancel out. For example, with women you have impossible standards about being thin, or waistlines, or how you should look, even like, and hashtag no makeup, but of course there's makeup and filter, You have a lot of beauty standards, and a lot of time you have shaming from both men and women, putting pressure on young girls. There is even statistical studies showing that the more time young women, for example, spend on Instagram, the more likely they are to have depressive tendencies, which is absolutely wild. On men, for example, don't tell me you've ever seen someone get shamed for example, height, or how often, for example, small penis stuff is being made fun of. Do you realize how difficult that would be? If you're actually struggling with it, you're insecure with it, maybe you haven't found a partner yet that you mesh with, and then you have this entire society just shaming you for something that is incredibly intimate and private, and maybe you're already struggling with. Like, that is awful. Can you put yourself in those shoes? Like, Jesus Christ. To say that this doesn't exist is just such a massive, massive pile of BS, and to pair it with like the hypocrisy of the other quotes also just adds a little bit extra spice to it, doesn't it? I remember seeing a similar thing a couple of months ago when there was a huge debate on social media regarding male loneliness, and so much of the comebacks to this was just saying things like, men are lonely, stop being a pile of poo then. And it's not really productive. Just because one man somewhere in the world did something bad doesn't take away from the mental health struggles from this group over here. Maybe sometimes they can overlap, but I hardly think it's productive to go to a trend and be like, oh my god, depression and loneliness are spiking. Maybe this is an issue. No, it's just because they suck. And then let's bring up these unrelated issues. It's kind of similar to what I feel here. If someone is being bullied for their body, telling them that, there is another gender that struggles with this, so okay, what does that mean for the person you're talking to? nothing. It doesn't do anything for their problems. I just think it's stupid to cancel out issues that aren't exclusive. It's not a competition. These are not football teams. This is real-life problems with real victims, and both sides should be taken seriously. They aren't exclusive.
Let's say Jeffrey Epstein wants to do naughty things with a 14-year-old girl and will pay her $10 million. The money will go into a mutual fund that will pay out when she's 21. If the girl agrees, as to both of her parents, should this be allowed? And are you male or female?
Yes, male. No, male. Yes, female. No, female. Okay, this posted this year. I thought he was older. Alright, yikes. Funny how he mentions will pay out when she's 21, as if he thinks she's not an adult and can't make good financial decisions, but can make the decision to do an old man. That's absolutely wild. Stop. What a hell. I mean, this entire post is just basically saying that the safety and well-being of children and also the law shouldn't be applicable as long as you have cash. That is, ooh, yikes. That's a bit dystopian, isn't it? Wooden gym rings professionally tested and some measurements. r/FacePalm. I don't hold much hope for the quality of it if they can't do basic maths. Okay, it's 17.6 on the inside, 2.7, 23. Wait, but that adds up because you have 2 thickness on each side. So this is correct though. Did we just have a facepalm? Is it? Hell yeah. The Inception. My son is in 3rd grade, and I just noticed some classmates post on the Google Classroom. This would have been from 2nd grade SMH. If it works the same way as in Sweden, 2nd grade you would be like 8 years old, I think, so let's dig into this goodie, shall we?
Bugatti key. I got after school detention. Andrew Tate speaks facts. That's why he's top G.
Yeah, listen to this 8-year-old alpha male.
What color's your Bugatti? W or L drawing?
God, humanity's future is so fucked. One thing you notice when you work a bit in the creator space is that many people, especially young people, find it very appealing when a spokesperson or influencer or whatever you want to call it is very direct and confident. It's almost more about the attitude than the message. And of course that means that the message is oftentimes quite messed up. I mean, that's kind of what I see when I see people like Andrew Tate and those kind of people talk. I find it hard to believe that most of the people listening to them are like 30-year-olds with their stuff figured out. You know, you wouldn't seek out these kind of spokespeople if you have everything figured out. Like, imagine a 35-year-old with a kid or two, a stable job, a wife, and just kind of going about their life. They don't have anything to gain by listening to someone like that. You know, they purposefully target people that are either young and still figuring themselves out, or people that are frustrated with something and they want to find a scapegoat, or, you know, it's society, or people hate masculinity. Spoiler, most people don't hate masculinity, but there is toxic traits to it that people hate. There are many, many people in my life that I know that I would classify as quite masculine, but they're very good individuals. What these people make out as masculinity is some kind of gross caricature that means that if you're just mean, violent, and don't care about anyone, that's a good masculine role model. For most people, if you aren't as rich and that kind of stuff as these people, it means that you will be ostracized and alone, or you will find similar people around you, but let's be honest, would you really want to vibe in a group like that? And some of it also just falls into almost like pyramid scheme territory, because the reason these people are rich isn't because of the attitude or the programs they're trying to sell. They get rich because they convince people that that is why they're rich. They sell a program. They don't actually apply this logic, or sometimes they do, but, you know, some of them are also under investigation, so you can you can discuss how legitimate that would be. Jesus Christ.
My son, a U.S. Marine stationed at Camp Pendleton, just called me. Dad,
I will be leaving the military if they try to force the vax on me.
It's starting.
So who's going to tell him the military forced a flu vax on him every year? Yeah, this isn't new. But people on Twitter are so silly, man. Quick! The Americans are asleep. Post pictures of stuff that isn't expensive. Ambulance.
Only because Americans pay for the healthcare of Europe.
Lol, what? Where do people even get this stuff? I don't understand. It is absolutely wild. In 1999, this house was $105K. Today, it's $490K. In 1999, teacher's salary was $65K. Today, a teacher's salary is $69K. Yeah, the math is just absolutely bonkers. Like, the amount of years it takes you to save up to a house, or even like the down payment plus getting approved for a loan, is like, it's not particularly comparable, is it? It's like 5 times. God, it's sad. Why can't I be like 30 years older and just done this? Damn it. Nobody makes a black man smile the way a white woman does. This woman is Courtney Clenny, and she actually killed her boyfriend. Oh, okay. Y'all talking about what this woman did. It's not relevant as this photo was taken way before that. But if I'm gonna be honest, it's a really weird point to make. I'm not entirely sure what you're trying to prove. But even if you want to prove this point, you could have chosen literally any picture of a couple that like has the same matchup that isn't a killer. Come on! If you're gonna cherry pick examples, this isn't even a cherry. It's like cherry picking a pile of poop. You're laughing? NFT incels flew across the world to a Bored Ape party in Hong Kong and got permanent eye damage because they used medical-grade UV sterilization lasers for the light show on the men-only dance floor, and you're laughing? Oh my god, this is just such a mess. Why would you even attend this?
Kevin! Influencer responds to people saying she will regret tattoo of her boyfriend's name on her forehead.
I mean, even if I was 100% certain I would stay together with someone forever and ever, I wouldn't get this. Like, this is ridiculous. What are you doing? People are gonna assume that your name is Kevin. This looks more like a name tag. And to be fair, I'm not sure if this is actually real. If you like look closer at the tattoo, this looks like it could very much be just a little watery tattoo, you know, one of those that wash off.
Roar, lions!
I don't like seeing stuff like this. These animals were taught how to hunt for meat. There is enough resources for everyone to eat like vegans. Just like humans, if we teach them to practice eating from the earth, they wouldn't have any taste for meat.
Somewhere out there is a person so dumb that their own parents are embarrassed by their existence. I mean, technically they were taught to hunt by their parents, I guess, but they also have a metabolism for meat. Humans are omnivores. Lions are not.
Fantastic wood carving. This lady deserves a recognition. Look at that.
That looks odd. This is just really bad Photoshop. Like, the wood at the bottom just looks really weird, and you have like actual hair. You haven't even like replaced everything with wood look and stuff. Like, look at the beard. The beard is just like actual hair. Are you telling me you managed to make actual hair out of a wood carving? God damn, this is bad. It's not even good Photoshop.
God has instructed me to take a wife to be as helpmate in my ministry and to birth more children for me. I have over 9K followers, so let's give this a try.
Oh, yes, indeed. Maybe you'll have some of those, like, sweet mama clout chasers. Let's get to it, baby.
My name is Dr. Billy. I am 78 years old, and I am an alpha male Christian Republican seeking single white females, ages 18 to 25. Must be Christian, virgin, Republican, submissive, and unemployed. Willing to take care of my motel room while I'm out ministering. No tattoos, piercing, or Harry Potter fans allowed.
Why not Harry Potter fans? That's just some choosing beggars vibe, isn't it? I specifically cannot accept Harry Potter fans because of all the 18-year-old white females just fawning over me. Oh my god. Tell me this isn't real. Please tell me this is not real. A Chinese art student pretends to be homeless for a day in London. That's weird. That is odd. Art student? Is it for an art project? I mean, I could sort of get it if there was some kind of project to raise awareness about, like, okay, what it's actually like being homeless, get some perspective to it. Like, imagine, like, a journalist, an investigative journalist who decided, like, I'm gonna live homeless for a month and, like, vibe with the peeps and then, like, get a complete understanding of what the situation is like, how you're treated, what the challenges are, how we can improve it. You know, see the other side of the coin, kind of. I can see that being a sort of valuable project. But this is a bit weird. Shocked that atheists love others? I hate to admit this, but my fundamentalist wife, I recently came out as atheist, was really surprised when I told our marriage counselor I still love my family and others. Wait, you went to family counseling because you don't share the same religious belief? Damn. I said I actually feel more love and empathy towards others than before. LGBTQ, other religions, etc. She said she didn't realize atheists held love as a core belief and genuinely finds this very surprising. Wait a second, do you think anyone who isn't like a white American going to church every Sunday has emotions? Oh my god. Me and the therapist were like, what? I tried to explain that we're not a group with a set of written belief like Christians or Muslims. The therapist tried to explain we are all humans and have essentially the same desire and capacity to love. Yes. She said Christians love because it's a commandment and a core belief. Wait a second, so you're saying that you wouldn't feel love towards anyone unless the specific text told you to? And, you know, hold the afterlife and stuff over your head? That doesn't sound good. The implications of that are absolutely awful. What? She said Christians love because it's a commandment and core belief, so she thought it wasn't important to anyone else. Talk about living in a bubble. Holy crap.
Guys, he didn't ghost me. He was just dead.
I mean, if you want to joke about it, technically he ghosted you, but like, Jesus Christ, what are you tweeting this for?
I feel so much better right now, like rip, but I thought it was a me issue.
Isn't this just a little bit of a red flag? Like, sure, getting ghosted isn't fun if it's someone you genuinely care about, but like, preferring someone literally dying over getting ghosted after a date, it's like, how is this a relief? That is just so messed up, man. BuzzFeed, this is not a drill. Dear men, please stop wearing cargo shorts. 17,000 people like this. The very important issues of the world. Add a tip, 50%, 70%, 90%. So the order is $15 and you had $13.5 tip. This is too American for me to understand as a European. Is it actually do be like this? My God.
Good morning to whomever has been enjoying my coffee creamer all week. Surprise! You've been drinking my breast milk. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers! P.S. It's organic, so no worries.
Oh, that is a surprise. That is a surprise. This is how you get back at people at the office stealing your stuff.
They are both the same age, but one of them gave up.
You are sitting, contemplating the sea peacefully only to find your picture on the internet that you give up. This is the same kind of thing as that lady with a neighbor on the porch. Just like, I'm just here, minding my business, not bothering anyone. Look at this piece of shit! How dare they?
Target outdid itself this year for Christmas.
So here's like Santa's, and here are like Christmas decorations that have a couple of flags. Oh no. The detriment of society. Is this really where we're at? Where this is like the big issue, Christmas ornaments. And it's not like the old ones aren't there either. They're right there to the right. Look at that. They're right there beside it. This is such a non-issue. Hey man, I wanted to preface this message by saying I'm not trying to be mean at all. I saw that your daughter has Down syndrome. She's cute, by the way, and I just wanted to say that eating a lot of meat helps to reverse Down syndrome. Anyways, take care, man. This is the same kind of people that believe staring directly into the sun with your butthole is gonna give you like some Super Saiyan powers. Oh my God. Ladies and gentleys, the drugs my cleaning woman reported to the police. Performance thermal paste Corsair. It's just computer stuff. But it's kind of like in the syringe looking things. It must be drugs. I'm gonna be honest, I think if you like, inserted this in your body, you're probably gonna feel some kind of kick, I suppose. Maybe death. Well, laddies, lasses, and lasses, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here. Remember to keep a lookout for the Emotional Support Team Glow in the Dark edition. Comes out the 23rd of November. Don't miss it and regret it for the rest of your mortal days. And I will see you in the very next video. Take care. Mwah.